matters of personality are of some interest to me, because I find that what we would decide or announce to be ourselves is really a strategy to limit suffering in our lives. Really, our defining characteristics are how we interpret and cope with stress, suffering, misfortune. I find that interesting because if we define ourselves through how we deal with stress, imagine if we were to truly find a place in which we no longer were suffering. Would we cease to be who we are? Indeed, would we even allow ourselves to enter a state in which the suffering wasn't there? Ergo, denying ourselves the very means to our self-expression. Is suffering the means to our self-expression? I do sort of transcendental or Buddhist type meditation on a fairly regular basis. And it seems to me that what I hold to be myself is really a set of habits by which I place myself against some sort of foe, some sort of obstacle that I have to overcome in life. And through that struggle, I find my perceived sense of self. In deeper states of meditation, one can fathom a state of mind that is devoid of certain kinds of suffering. Maybe not suffering in its totality, but certain kinds of suffering. And I find myself afraid to let go of certain kinds of suffering, because without that suffering, I cannot define myself through my coping with that suffering. Being arrogant, or timid, or outspoken, or introverted, being artistic, or politically minded, being a philosopher type, or a skateboarder. All of these things have some relationship with how we go about fighting the world. We're all fighting something. Most of us don't readily acknowledge it, and so much the worse for them. But for those of us that understand what we suffer from, may have the ability to divorce themselves from it, but at the peril of losing one's identity. The reason I find this so interesting is because if we are to entertain a notion of some sort of enlightened state, some sort of enlightenment, then it would seem to me that it would be a transformation unlike anything the common person would have. Now, that alone doesn't give any amount of proof for the existence of this enlightened state of mind, or state of being. But it does seem to me that if we really are honest with ourselves, if we sit, as the Zen say, with honesty, and see our mind for what it really is, see where our thoughts are coming from and what they are trying to maintain, and to see that what they are trying to maintain is so conceited, indeed illusionary, it becomes absurd to maintain it. But we continue to maintain it for sake of fear, because we don't know what the alternative is. It's like growing up in a concentration camp and being afraid to leave, because although the situation that you are in is dire, you don't know what to compare it to. And so even when the guards are away and the gate is left unlocked, many of us just stay. and we don't venture outside. There's a very curious way that a certain tribe, I believe in Africa, but don't quote me on that, some tribe that eats monkeys as a part of their diet, conceive a fairly interesting and curious trap to trap the monkey when they're hunting. What they do is they take a coconut and they saw it in half, hollow out the middle, and from these two halves they have two traps. So with the one trap, they with it hollowed out, they bore a hole right through the middle of it, place a piece of fruit just larger than that hole into the coconut, and then fasten the whole coconut onto the trunk of a tree. A monkey, an unsuspecting monkey, would smell the fruit, insert its hand in towards this coconut trap, and grab hold of the fruit. And as they try to pull their hand out, they find that because they're holding on to that large piece of fruit, their hand is unable to come out of the hole. Now, there's no clamp, no spring mechanism on this coconut trap. All the monkey has to do is just let go of the fruit, and his hand would slip right back out, just as it was able to slip in. But the monkey doesn't let go of the fruit. He doesn't let go. Indeed, the hunters don't even have to sneak up on the monkey. They can walk right towards it, in plain view. The monkey would kick and scream and shout and jump up and down and yank and pull. But it won't, in the sight of its own demise, let go. This is an animal we're dealing about, but if you would venture with me to create this into a metaphor, this scene of this monkey with his hand in this trap, with its fingers, it can feel the soft, sweet flesh of a piece of fruit, and yet not let go, on the image of two men with clubs approach slowly towards the monkey, to the point where these hunters merely come up to it and bludgeon it to death and carry it back to the camp to eat. What is this fruit? What is our fruit? I haven't been on here long, and I haven't tried to philosophize with people for long, but it would seem to me that there are plenty of people on this forum, on this website, that have a piece of fruit, but are so fearful to let it go that a reasonable person could walk up to them and bludgeon them to death, and they would think nothing of it. It's amazing. Fear and its relationship with our ability to be rational. Ooh, it goes deep. I have every reason to believe that. Yeah. What is your fruit? And is it being held in a trap? Is it worth holding on to, as it keeps you constrained? And it keeps you constrained when you see two hunters walking towards yourself. Do you let go?